everybody, and welcome to Kickstart Your Early Years Career with LEYF Apprenticeships. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce ourselves, and then we're going to go over life as an apprentice. We're going to look at our recruitment process, and we're also going to look at some top tips to help you, and we'll also have a chance for you to do some questions that you'd like us to answer live today. So I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Michelle. I'm the apprenticeships manager here at LEYF. A little bit about myself is that I started in LEYF when I was 19 as an apprentice myself, and I now manage the apprenticeships. I've done all of the different stages in nurseries, and I still have that same passion for nursery. And normally, even though I'm with the apprentices, you can normally catch me in a nursery across from the academy with the children because I still have that love and passion for it.
My name is Talia. I'm a LEYF apprentice. Before starting the apprenticeship, I didn't work in a nursery. I haven't worked in a nursery before, so it's a new experience for me, and I'm enjoying it so far.
My name is Nawal, and I'm also an apprentice at LEYF. So I joined the apprenticeship because I thought I wanted to work with children, which I do. And yes, after I joined LEYF, I sort of stayed behind, and I was like, what do I want to do? Then I found out they had an apprenticeship route, which I thought would value me, which I joined.
That's a bit about us. So we're going to talk a bit about life as a LEYF apprentice. Obviously, I was one many moons ago, but these guys are currently one now. So what being an apprentice really entails, one of the things I will tell you is that being a LEYF apprentice, you work with us for 40 hours a week, and you get 4 days working in your nursery, and you get 1 dedicated day out to do training. So when we're looking at that, the weekly taught sessions is you have, we work with our providers that are giving you the diploma. And what we do is they will teach you every fortnight, and myself and my team will then also teach enrichment sessions. And what that does is that really helps you consolidate your learning. So actually every week, depending on the day of your training, you actually get a weekly taught session that will help you gain your apprenticeship. Is there anything about being an apprentice that you'd like to share with the webinar?
So I like the fact that the hands-on learning, because I'm a practical learner. I work better through experiences. I'm able to answer questions and display my knowledge confidently when I've experienced something. So the fact that we get to go into a nursery for 4 days of the week, it kind of like solidifies our learning that we learn on Thursday, and we're able to apply that. And then we can also come back and say what we've done in the nursery and put in our work as evidence. So I think as a whole, it just helps. It makes the apprenticeship a lot easier.
I value the 1 day a week that we have, that's our paid training day. Most nurseries, well, I think majority of nurseries, if you're doing an apprenticeship, you work 5 days a week, and you have to sort of cram that learning time in your own personal time, which of course you do anyway. Naturally, you have to dedicate some of your time to your course anyway. But that 1 day where you're doing self-study and also you're getting taught sessions as well really helped me understand the course, and also helped me if I had any questions I needed to ask, or if I needed help from my tutors or my program manager.
Right. And I think one of the good things, because these guys are actually in the same cohort and they've had training today, they've become quite good friends. The fact that you get to be a part of a cohort of learners that are all on the same journey as you, even though we don't expect you to all be learning at the exact same pace, because everyone is individual and everyone is unique, you do build those big relationships because you're with each other for a year and a half, effectively. So you do come together and they help each other and support each other. So that's definitely something that I would say is a key thing.
Adding on to what you just said as well, LEYF is a big organisation, so we have nurseries all over. So it's interesting to meet different people from different backgrounds, different life experiences that have just come together on the same journey as you. So it's nice to know that, you know, someone who's had a different field comes as childcare, and, you know, you're getting to know each other, and it's just, it's like a family. Like our cohort especially, like we're all very good friends, and we're all different ages, different sort of backgrounds, different careers, yeah.
But I also think that it's good that we have this time for people from different nurseries to come together because everyone's practice is different. Not every nursery is the same. There's different things that we do, different ways that we teach. And it's just nice to hear from other people and compare practices and see what we could be doing better or improving on, or just to see how other nurseries run.
The other added thing, thank you ladies, the other added thing that you can also get is, even though just today, like we've had an announcement this week where we now have said that maths and English is now optional in regards to apprenticeships, one of the key things for us here at LEYF is, while it may be optional, we never want anyone to stunt their career opportunities. Because obviously there are elements of, if you ever want to go into management or anything like that, you still are going to require your maths functional skills at a level 2. So it is something where, yes, it's optional for everyone over the age of 19. Anyone under the age of 19, you will still be doing your functional skills if you didn't get it in school. But if you're over 19, it does make it optional. So it does mean that actually, if you don't have the aspirations and you may be a mature learner, it may be that you say to yourself, actually, that's not what I need to do right now because I don't plan to go into management. But I do think if you're coming in and you have aspirations to go further in the field of early years, you're better off getting your functional skills sooner rather than later, and you can get it for free if you do your apprenticeship. I mean, if you have to do anything going on, you then have to pay for it yourself. So it's a win-win. Yes, it's going to be optional, but ultimately it's something that we are pushing for our apprentices to take part in. So what is it really like to work in a nursery? Obviously, for me, it was way back when, but I still remember it, and I still have great fond memories. And I think one of the big things for me was working in the team. I think I've worked with many a team, but they become like family. You spend most of your time with your team, and they generally, you build relationships, friendships, and I've been in LEYF for quite a long time. There are people that have known me since I was 19. So when you look at it from that perspective, it is that family feel. So working in a nursery, you see a lot of these people more than maybe some of your family members, because you're there every day. What is it really like working in a nursery for you guys?
I think it depended on the day and depending on what's happening in your nursery. I love chaos. I thrive in chaos. So sometimes when I'm in nursery and it's just everything's going on, it's like rapid, fast-paced moving. I kind of like that because you kind of get a new experience every day and you learn so much new things. And children are generally the most interesting thing. Like the things you learn every day, and like you wouldn't really expect it either. I feel like there's just a stereotype on children that all they do is play and there's not much to them, but it's when you're really in the field, you get to explore and it's like I'm a kid with them, like I'm being a big kid.
So that inner child really comes out of you, doesn't it?
Yes, I'm there, all the towns looking at it. It's just, I really enjoy that part.
I also appreciate the fact that, you know, where at LEYF we call ourselves teachers, which I feel like that's what we are, we're teachers. Usually most nurseries are called early years practitioners, but at LEYF they appreciate and they understand your efforts in developing children. So one of our pedagogy coaches, he always says that when you tell people that you work in nursery, the kids do the little head tilt. And then you're babysitters, but it's like, we do play, but it's more than that. You literally get them when they're so young, or you might get them when they're a bit older, and you have to sort of hone into their development, sort of plan, see what you can do to help them improve in certain aspects that might be behind in, you know, support them. And not only just them, you work with their parents, you know, you work with other professionals. So I feel like it does really open you up to sort of other aspects of working with children rather than just the play aspect, and obviously looking after them as well.
Mm. And I think you mentioned parents there, and I think building those relationships with the parents, because actually they're giving you their pride and joy.
Yeah.
They're giving you something they've created. It took 9 months to create them.
Yeah.
And they're trusting you to look after them. And I think when you do have those great partnerships with the families, and in most of, I don't know if you've had an opportunity, but in sometimes you don't only look after one child of the family. There are times that, just know that you're a part of that family, and you know that you're gonna have a difference. Like for myself, I've got in my very first nursery, there are 21-year-olds that now come up to me and kind of go, "Hi, Michelle," and I'm like, "Wow, how do you still remember me?" And it's the fact that I've made an impact so much that they still remember me in their adulthood now. And I think we are so much more, and I think that is what it's like working in a nursery. You are so much more than just there to play.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. I definitely do agree.
Yeah, I feel like at nursery as well. Like nursery for some children is like their favourite part of their day. Like, they're like, I'm going nursery, I'm excited, I'm gonna see my friends. And it's not only the relationship they build with us, but it's the relationship they build with each other. And they're basically growing up together, like 0 to 5. These are the people you're seeing every day. It's their friends, they confide in them, they're also growing with each other. So from baby room to toddler room to preschool room, you're seeing the same people, the same, and then they start to copy off each other as well, and they're just developing together, and you just see the progression also as teachers and the impact they're making.
Amazing. Thank you, ladies. So obviously it's not all play. When you're an apprentice, obviously there is an element that you still have to do your studying. So obviously when you're balancing your study and work in nursery, there is obviously key things that you need to really consider. So really maximizing those study days. I think these guys hear me say it all the time, where I'm just like, guys, don't chit chat, don't look at your phone. This is the one time, not many apprenticeships give you a day out. Actually take the time to do your coursework and study while you've got all the people that can help you here. So I do think the best way to balance it is really making the use of those times when you are doing it and not to get distracted. Working at your own pace, would you say is the right thing? Because some people can speed through in the morning, they're head down focused, then the afternoon they're not. But you guys, but what I would say is the key thing is don't set your bar too high. So if you walk in, don't say, I'm going to finish 4 units today. It's unrealistic. You're setting yourself up to fail. Would you agree? The good thing at LEYF is you do have support available. So obviously, as I said, we have the tutors that do work every fortnight, but myself and my team, we will make sure that we're always on hand to help. So when we're doing the free study, if you're not quite certain how a question is or how to word something, the team is always here on hand. We have a WhatsApp group with our cohorts as well. So if people are working at home, weekends, evenings, people throw a question in, it's normally answered, whether it be by the tutor, one of me, myself, or my team, or one of their other peers in their group. So that support is always around, as well as the fact that you have an apprentice coach in your setting. So if you need support in the nursery as well, you can get that support there. So it really just kind of brings everything together and it will help you balance that. Staying organized. Staying organized and plan your days. Don't say to yourself, I'm going to go home every night and work on my work. It's unrealistic.
Especially when you're doing a 10 to 6. You're tired, you just got finished with about 5 settlers. It's a lot. So you've got to balance your life.
I feel like having balance is key, and that's what I feel like I struggled with when I first started. In my apprenticeship, it's just sort of balancing your home life and your work life and your training as well. But once you sort of, you have to think about it, it's only 1.5 years out of your life. If you hone into it and you sort of sit down and you focus on it and you get out of the way, you're qualified, and there's always career progression in LEYF as well. So you just have to think to yourself, short-term sacrifices for long-term, obviously, gains. Yeah.
I like. And one of the other things is communicate with your support system. We can only help you if you ask for help. And I think sometimes it's so easy to stay quiet and struggle. We never want any of our apprentices to struggle here at LEYF. We want you to ask for help. We want to support you the best way we can. If you don't ask us, we're more than likely to be like, do you need my help? We're going to be in your ear questioning because we want to know that you're not struggling on your own. If you have an answer that you need for your work and you just can't word it, ask. There's no harm in asking. There's no stupid question. We want to be able to support you. So we move on. I mean, we've heard from them, but we're going to hear some more. We've got some questions for you guys. So, ladies, what is the best thing about being an apprentice at LEYF? Who's going to go first?
I think you should go first.
Yeah, I honestly do believe the best thing about being an apprentice at LEYF is that one day off. I don't think you understand how, well, not off, but that one day paid training day. that away from the nursery, that one day is when I feel like I can focus and do my work. At home, I feel like I sort of I procrastinate a lot, but having that one day where I can sort of just sit down and also be around my peers as well. So for example, there's times that I'm confused at work and I look at Talia and I'm like, Talia, you know, what have you done? And she supports me, or vice versa. But you know, sometimes when we're in at a nursery and you're the only apprentice, let's just say, you won't have like, you know, you won't have that support. But here it's good because everyone is on the same journey. Everyone can help you. You have your tutor there, and then you have Michelle there. You know, you have so many people there that are sort of there to sort of help you. So that one day I feel like really does help me sort of balance out my my life, and just sort of helps me get my work done.
Okay. And the best thing about being an apprentice, Sally?
I think that LEYF itself, like, is a big community. Like, we get to see things that other nurseries are doing. We have like a little Facebook thing called
Workplace.
I love Workplace. I just get my emails and pop up, and we see what all the different nurseries are doing. We have the conference that happens in summer, where all our nurseries come together and we do like little award ceremonies. And it's like appreciating each other and appreciating in like our passion for early years, or the passion that we're even growing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, amazing. What has surprised you so far? What's the thing that surprised you?
I think that nursery germs. Nursery germs. Before starting my apprenticeship, my immune system was weak. It was so bad. You have to eat your fruit, you have to eat properly, no snacking, you have to eat proper meals, because the flu, everything that happens, there's so much germs, and I know we're there to control it and help keep things as sterile as possible. But yeah, the children are quite germy. But besides from that, I still love children. It's like building up.
That's good.
Yeah, I still love children right now. Yeah, just didn't expect it to be what it was, to be honest. I thought it's just like playing, as we said before, but there's just so much more to it, and there's so much that we need to do to help children and progress them and just help them, set them up for life, really.
Noelle, anything that surprised you so far?
The commitment, I think, surprised me so far. I mean, I knew that there was some sort of commitment, like a level of commitment, but I didn't realise that, you know, how committed I would have to be to the role and also to the course as well, because you need to understand that when you're working long hours, 4 days a week, you know, I'm finding that time to sort of do your work. Sometimes I'll go home, and I live quite far from the nursery that I'm placed at, so by the time I go home, I'm drained. But I have to think to myself, okay, even if it's half an hour, 15 minutes, let me just do my work. And I think that commitment that I have puts me in a place where I can say to myself, okay, I'm on track, I'm doing what I need to do, and you know, my work is of decent quality.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, so next question is, what do you wish you knew ahead of starting your apprenticeship? If someone could have said to you, you might want to know this before you start.
I think wearing like this jumper, I could not wear it to my setting. It would be full of food, snot, tears, vomit even sometimes, poo. You can be covered. So definitely dressing appropriately will help you a lot. Yeah, that's it. What do you think?
What would you have liked to have known before going into the nursery lifestyle?
So what I would have liked to know is just how, like, there's so many, you know, when you look at children, you just automatically in your head just think, oh, they're like the same thing. But just how different children are. I work in the baby room, and my babies have such different personalities. And you know, even though they're babies, I mean, like, I've had a 4-month-old who had personality, and you know, you just think to yourself, oh, they're just babies, they all like the same thing. But no, every single one of them likes different, you know, different play, you know, it's just different ways of teaching them. It's just, you have to adapt and individualize your planning or your activities for all of the children. It's just so good to see that, you know, they thrive from things that you're doing for them. So that I feel like, yeah.
That is always the best. And when I think no one ever taught me that I'd be a rock star. You go into nursery and so it's, oh my gosh, this special.
It's just like seeing that, you know, like when I'm off, or like on annual leave, or when I come back and like the babies, it's like running towards them, see them have their arms out to you, like they just want cuddles, and it's just you just feel so fulfilled in your role.
It's almost like you never know what love is until you work in nursery.
It's so true. say that I have so much love for the children that I work with, and I'm not a mother, and I didn't really have maternal instincts. I didn't have younger siblings, but now I feel like I'm so maternal.
It's giving me like a taste of,
Yeah.
especially because like I'm so young and I'm coming from school. I never expected me to be able to be this nurturing, and especially to like children that are not your own. I wouldn't expect to be so like have such a good relationship with them and be so caring towards them.
Okay. Amazing. And last but not least, what has been the most challenging parts and how have you overcome them?
I think the hours for me was the most challenging part, and I think where I've obviously worked for a while, but I've not worked for such long hours, and I feel like sometimes the 6 o'clock, you hear 6 o'clock finish and just think, oh, it's such a long day.
6:10.
Yeah, that's such a long day, but in reality the days go so fast with that I don't even realise where the time's gone. Sometimes I look at the time and I'm like, oh, it's 5:40, and it's just like. But for me, that was obviously a shock because I didn't work in a field where I worked that many hours. So yeah, I think that was.
How have you overcome that challenge of managing the fact that you do work those later shifts sometimes?
Sorting out your sleep pattern, I think for me was very important. Make sure that I go home and sleep. And then because it's the truth, sometimes when you don't get enough sleep and then you go into a setting and you're around children and it's loud, sometimes you get overstimulated. But I'm in a routine where I sleep very well, I eat well. So now that when I do go into the setting, that 6 o'clock finish doesn't feel like, a very long shift. It just kind of feels like, oh, where's the day gone? So I think that was for me, was just adapting to the routine of the nursery and the timings.
Okay. And what about you, Tara? What's been the most challenging part for you? Because you did mention you came straight from school.
Yeah. So initially, when I first went to my setting, I was a little bit shy because that's just the type of person I'm in a new environment, something I'm not confident with, something I've never done before. Initially, I was just like very shy. I didn't really want to get involved with the children. I was kind of observing. But through time, I've observed my colleagues and I've just like become more comfortable in my setting. And I think that just asking questions and being curious and just having the want to learn and the want to know more is what helped me overcome. And then I've slowly have just got this passion for early years. And it's like I really want to finish my apprenticeship and get qualified. So I can do this and go here and just experience new things.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much, ladies. So, for those of you wondering, how do you become a LEYF apprentice? We're just going to quickly go through the recruitment process for you. So, with this, it's got 7 steps, and it seems quite daunting, but it doesn't feel like that when you do it. So, we need you to apply online. Once you have applied online, one of our apprentice recruitment team, either Amina or Manta, will call you if you're shortlisted. You then get the fun excitement to attend one of our recruitment days at the Apprentice Academy. So you get to see where you actually would do your training as well. And you get to meet nursery managers, you get to meet fellow people in your cohort and things like that. So there's options and things that you get to do. It's not a stressful day, but we'll go through that shortly. After you have done the recruitment day at the Apprentice Academy, the next stage is a 3-day work trial in nursery. Because the reality of it is the idea of working with children always seems really fantastic until you've actually been in a nursery and know, actually, is this for me? I think I fell in love with childcare the first day I worked in nursery, but that could have been turned around very easily and I could have hated it. So that 3-day work trial is more not just for the nursery, but it's also for you to decide, is this what you want to do? Once you've gone through both of those, if you are successful and you're happy to take on the apprenticeship, you will be offered it out, and then there are compliance checks that will be done. And these will include things like your DBS, you'll have to get references, and I can only say if those aren't done, then you won't be starting in nursery. Safer recruitment is the biggest thing for us when we're working with children in early years. So you will not be starting in a nursery until those compliance documents and checks have been done. You get registered with our training provider, where there are some forms and stuff to get completed to sign you onto the apprenticeship. But prior to all of that happening, there is a 4 weeks induction session. And what that is it's myself and my colleagues in the apprenticeship team. We go through a 4-week induction process. And what that does is gives you the basics of child development, safeguarding, health and safety. That gets you started on nursery life, so you don't walk in completely oblivious to what nursery life is, because it can be a shock at times. So when we are talking about the compliance checks, one of the things that we find is really helpful, that you have to make sure that you've got everything before you apply, is ensuring that you have photo ID. Now, that can be your passport, or if you are able to get a provisional license in time, because for those of you that are just coming from school, then get your provisional sorted as soon as you can, because you need that to be able to apply for you to do your DBS and all of those other things. Your GCSE certificates. So as I said to you, while they may have made the maths and English an optional, it is always good to make sure you know that, because it helps to know how you're going to be able to do your coursework with that. So always bring those along with you. So you need to prepare and understand why you want this opportunity. Why have you come here? Has your mum asked you to get out of the house and get a job, or do you actually want to work in nursery? There is a difference. You can't just work in nursery and not know what it is. So I do think it's one of those things where you need to consider, am I doing this because I have a passion in nursery? Am I doing this because I've got younger siblings and actually I'm really good at it? Or is it one of those things where, oh, I've always been interested? I promise you now, if it's one of those, then that work trial will let you know if it's for you or not. Do your research on us. Obviously, if you're looking at this webinar now, you are doing some research, but make sure it's the right place for you. We only want people that are gonna want the best for our children, that wanna be the next teachers that are gonna provide quality childcare for children. Is it the right place for you? Not everywhere is the right place for everyone. And that's why we have so many nurseries. We make sure that we put our apprentices in the right nursery that's the right fit for them. We don't always get it right the first time, but that's why we have open conversations. If it's not for you, we can look at a different setting and we'll make sure it's right for you. But you have to do your work too and do your research. So top tips. So when I said I mentioned about the recruitment day, top tips. If you look here, you can see genuine interest and passion. That is something that we have to have that. There's no point coming here if you don't have that. Do some research on yourself for how to interview. I think, how do you turn up to an interview? Are you gonna come on your phone with your earpods in, not listening? Your perception, how that professional, your first impression is the lasting impression. So when you step in, making sure that you're here to show us what it is that you would like us to see and know about you. As I mentioned before, the research on LEYF, look at why we're so unique. We know we're unique. We are very different to many other apprenticeships, but also many other childcare companies. Be your best self. That is always something I say all the time. But making sure that you only haven't had a 2-hour sleep because you were on TikTok all night, or that you've been rushing because you didn't plan your travel. Know where you're going, know where you need to be, arrive on time, first impressions count. Is there anything that you would say is a top tip to ace the recruitment?
Yeah, I would say not more so for the older sort of recruits, but if you are just fresh from school and this is your first job, do research at home about how you can sort of come to interviews. I know sometimes when I had my first job when I was younger, I wasn't aware how to come to an interview. I mean, I had to sort of do my research and think, okay, what can you wear? Appropriate clothing, the way you talk, don't come in there chewing gum and, expecting, people to do things for you. Just sort of have that understanding you're going to go into a workplace with adults and you're going to be an adult in that workplace. No one's going to look at you and think you're a child, from your transitioning from school to work life. You are an adult and you'll be treated like one. So it's just sort of how to make people know that you're an adult and also have people kind of know that they can respect you as well.
Anything that you would give as a top tip?
I think confidence, because everyone's personality is different. Other people have different initial not reactions, how they act in a situation for the first time. So I think just being mindful of people that are like quieter than you or a bit more shy, a bit more like closed off, and just being friendly and welcoming. And then back to like what Michelle and Sean Noel was saying, sorry. What Noel was saying about like perception. You just have to think about how you want other people to view you and how you think you can move on like with your move on from where you are, how you think you can progress.
Yeah.
So like clothing, the way you speak, the way you act, your demeanor, you got to act like you want it, like you want to be here. Because I know Michelle, if she thinks like you don't want to be here and you give off that attitude that you're not willing to put into the work to start the apprenticeship, then she'll let you know and be like, maybe this is not the right career path for you and you should find something that you're better suited at.
Following on from that as well, I feel like within early years you can always tell who's in it just for the fact that, oh, you know, it's probably like an easy route to get into, or who's actually passionate for it. I've worked with people that I can look at and think, wow, I really love children and, you know, we're making a change. I've worked with some people and don't be that person. I'll be that I want to be here and I want to change.
Because I think it's also a complete waste of time if you don't want to be in this profession.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so much other things in the world that you can pursue, so much other careers, so much other ventures, just for you to stay in one that you're not happy in.
Yeah, definitely.
Because back to what you say, children pick up on emotions, they pick up on vibes. If something's off, they'll come up to you, they'll let you know that they can feel that something's wrong. Yeah. So just honestly being honest with yourself as well. And just not having making a facade about things, being direct and honest with everyone around you and yourself helps you in the long run, because why waste your time when you can just like life's very short. Yeah, it's true. Don't waste your time on something you're not happy with.
We're really dropping some insights on you guys today. Okay, so when you get into the nursery trial, now everyone does come in through different routes. So in this case, Nawal started, she already worked in the nursery and then became an apprentice. But Talia actually joined us and went and did her nursery trial. So if you're looking at like top tips, what would you say is a top tip for if you're going in? Remember that 3 days, got 3 days to make an impression, 3 days to find out if this is for me. What top tips do you think you could give?
I think being open-minded is one. There's a lot of different things happening in nursery. It can become overstimulating at times. So just being able to regulate your emotions and just being able to like be calm in a situation, be understanding, because you have to read policies, you have to understand this, reasons why we do this. Like there's a lot of things in nursery that are done for a reason, whether it's just like frameworks or like procedures. You need to understand why things are done to understand like the intention and the impact of it.
So as Michelle said, my journey was a bit different. I already worked at LEYF, but even just working at LEYF, I had to make sure my manager pushed me to the apprenticeship. You can't just, you know, work at LEYF and say I want to do the apprenticeship. Your manager has to sort of put you forward. So yeah, so if your manager doesn't think that you're ready for an apprenticeship or you're not at that level yet, he, whoever, they won't put you forward. So for me, it was kind of giving that impression that I was passionate about my job and that I wanted to learn and do more. That's why I said to myself I wanted to do the apprenticeship. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Some of the other key things, because I think you guys wouldn't be here if you didn't do these things as well, is when you do go into your trial, make sure you dress appropriately. We stress that a lot. Ask questions. I know sometimes when you first go into a nursery, you don't want, I don't want to annoy anyone. I don't want to be the person that keeps asking questions. You're never going to know if you don't ask. A closed mouth doesn't get fed, as I was always told when I was younger.
If you didn't ask and you just didn't, you just kind of just sat back and, you know, you wasn't actively sort of engaging with the children or helping out. There's times where sometimes, even till now, I'm a bit like, oh, what do I do? But there's people in my room, in my setting that guide me and help me, and that's only because I sit and I say, oh, can I just ask you a question? You know, well, how can I do this? Or if I do this activity, what can I say was the impact? Or, you know, you just have to keep asking. It could be 100 questions. No one's going to look at you and think, stop asking questions. Yeah, people are going to look at you and think, oh, this person actually really likes this job and wants to do more. And they're looking for the just to help the children. So it's never, oh, I don't want to ask questions. Even it could be the silliest, because sometimes I ask them the silliest questions, and people around me don't make me feel like I'm silly. If anything, they're like, oh, you know, we can help you more to, you know, get where you need to be.
Amazing. And I think that yellow circle on there that demonstrates our values by having fun, being inspiring, nurturing, and brave. One of the key things for me, and I'm sure these guys will agree, is I personally believe everything you do you should have fun in. You should never go into something and with the mindset that I'm not going to have fun. But we get the added benefit of being able to inspire young minds, inspire young people, nurture them when they're sad and they just need a cuddle. Because I mean, sometimes their parents have left them at nursery and they genuinely don't realize that they're going to come back for them.
I need a cuddle from them.
Yeah,
like,
it's
days what, like, there's days that I'm going through something or anything. You know, we're human, we can have off days, and I literally see them and they'll come and they sense it and they'll come and they'll it literally makes my day go from like 0 to 100.
It does make a huge difference. Yeah. And be brave. I mean, if this is what you want to do for your career, be brave. Sign up to a recruitment day. You never know. It may be what is the right thing for you. Maybe you too can join me on a webinar one day. So that is the end of our presentation to you. Now, over to you guys to ask us some questions. I don't know how this may work. I may hear a voice in a minute that asks a question to me. I'm going to stop. Oh.
Yeah. We have had a lot of questions already. The most kind of common questions is this a full-time apprenticeship and can we do part-time?
So it is, as a standard, you have to do a minimum of 30 hours to join any of our apprenticeships. However, we do a standard 40-hour week apprenticeship. And the reason for that is because, obviously, as we mentioned earlier, you do 4 days a week in nursery and you get 1 dedicated day out to do training. Now, to be able to get enough of the experience you need to complete your coursework and things like that, you do kind of need to be in those nurseries for those 4 days. So 30 hours is the lowest we do, and it has been done, but it has to be agreed by the nursery manager and the area manager to make that happen. And it's not something we can just keep offering to everyone, because ideally we need you to have enough experience in nursery to complete your apprenticeship.
Another question is, are you supporting with functional skills, maths and English? And another follow-up question to that is it required to have a pass in maths and English at GCSE stage?
So obviously it's desirable to have the pass in maths and English, but if you don't have it, it's absolutely fine. What we do have is, but with both of our providers, they have functional skills support. So there is teachers that do that. I mean, I'm not the best at maths, but I would definitely get a calculator and help any of my apprentices if they need to. English I'm fantastic at. However, but there is 3 of us in the apprenticeship team, as well as the provider tutors, and we do give you time to do your functional skills when you do have your training day, so you don't feel alone. I will say, for all of my apprentices that have had to do functional skills in the last couple of years, there has been no one that has failed their exams. So we do make sure you get ready to the point that you need to be before you take that exam, so you don't fail.
Also emphasize how many cohorts that you've had as well, just
Yeah.
to show the
We're 29.
we're the 29th cohort, so you can only imagine.
And we're now recruiting for cohort 32. So we have had a lot of apprentices go through.
Some old apprentices that used to work with. So they would tell me what they would do and try and like relate my experiences to theirs, and it really helps as well because they know what I've been through. Like just how every Thursday I see the people that are on the same journey as me. It's really helpful to have people that are there, that have done it, have experience, have the knowledge to help you through. You're never alone. Like when you do your apprenticeship, there's always support.
Yeah, I work with someone who did the apprenticeship, I think 17 years ago.
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
like ages ago.
With LEYF, and you know, and they're still working there, and and they went through the same process. Nothing has changed, so it's just so insightful to see their journey and my journey. Also, get help from you as well, which is good.
Brilliant. Is there any other questions?
There's a lot of questions. What's your day-to-day routine in the nursery like?
Oh,
Can I go?
Yeah, I feel every nursery is different.
Every nursery is very different, like different things happen. But for me, I'm predominantly in baby room. I do 50-50. I do preschool and toddler because our rooms are together. But in your nursery, in different nurseries,
Yeah, it's different.
the rooms are separate. So in the morning, we normally have breakfast. Our babies come in around, like the nursery opens at 8, so we do breakfast, and after breakfast we do circle time, and then it's just like free throw play, and we have our planning. So they will set up the planning for the day, but amongst the planning, there's still a lot of free flow and like child-led play. And then we would either go in the garden because we have the all-weather policy. We have to go out into the garden.
No such
Children.
thing as bad clothing.
Yeah.
No bad weather.
That's very
There's nothing as bad weather, it's bad clothing. Yes.
Yeah, it's another thing as well. I don't like the rain. And if you're a person that doesn't like
outside.
outside,
It's not for you.
It's not go out there. Rain, hail, shine. You go.
You go outside. Children
It's
it's rain as well.
It's because it's a learning experience, not because we don't like you.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, we try to go out as much as possible. It's recommended to go out at least 3 hours a day, but we do have the days where it's a bit like weather's a bit off, let's stay inside, or we have a lot of children are not feeling well, or like something's happened to where we can't go outside. And then we have a point of play again, and during this, like we have nappies, of course, the best time of the day, nappies. Yeah, very chaotic sometimes. And then we would have lunch, and then depending on the room you're in, so in baby room, we have sleep time. During this time, all babies sleep, and then there's different routines, so we just like adhere to that. And then they wake up and they have snack, or this is my nursery, it might be different. Then they'll have like snacks, so milk, bottles, formula, breast milk, yeah. And then we'll go and play again or go in the garden. But like these little breaks in between like lunch and tea, they can really change. Like they can change. We could do an outing, like go to a park or go to a library. Our children love the library as well. We have one there. Go to the library, go on little walks. We have a fruit art opposite my nursery as well. So sometimes we just go to the fruit and give him away. But he knows us and he gives us little presents and toys. So it's like a sense of community. And then free play again. It's just like, it's a lot of play, but it's quite a lot of structure as well. And yeah, every day is different.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's that much of a difference in my nursery. So I work in the baby room, so we sort of have a similar routine. I mean, when it just comes to sleep time, or when we're giving them the milk, it just depends on what the parents' preference is, let's just say. So we work around that. But generally, it's just sort of 2 focused activities a day that we have. We do that within our daily planning as well. So you'll be taught how to do planning. So LEYF has a specific way of planning. So you get taught how LEYF has the planning. So you do that. You do activities with the children, and we kind of just follow the same routine when it comes to sleep, lunchtime, and yeah.
And we do a lot of things in terms of planning. Like there's days where our chef may come in and do cooking with them, or there's days where we might like make Play-Doh, or we might do an activity because of an event like Christmas. We made cookies. Like we do a lot of fun things. It just depends. Like every day is different, and it entails different things.
Also, you might want to know about shifts and stuff. Let's just say, like your shifts. Within your day as well, it just depends on what shifts that you do. Obviously, when you're an apprentice, you work full time. So Talia's shifts are different to my shifts, but my general shifts will be a 9 to 6 shift. Yours will be like a 10 to 6 or
mine vary. So I can either do it early. It's like 8:30 to 9:30. So the nursery just opening. I'm still there for breakfast. I have that experience, or I could be on a 9:45 to 5:45 or a 10 to 6 doing closing. It really depends, and it depends on ratios, which is the thing you guys will learn about. Ratios, you need to know about ratios. It's by legally, you need to know about ratios. It's just how many teachers to a child, and we need to make sure we stay within those ratios because of safeguarding, and that to maximize like safety for our children, and to make sure that there's enough eyes, there's enough supervision around. Because babies and children, they're everywhere, they get into everything, they're curious, and there's a lot of things that can be a hazard to them if not used correctly or being placed in a correct place.
I have 2 eyes here, and 2 eyes left in my head. Optimus with 8 hands.
Even your hearing sharp. Have babies that are transitioning from crawling to walking. So us being able to support that during risky play, them climbing, we have to watch them because we shouldn't stunt them with climbing and things. Although it may look dangerous, we're just opening them up to experience, so they're able to build those muscles, they're able to progress.
Just make it safe.
Yeah, just make it safe and supervise. Yeah.
You guys are really shy today. Any other questions?
What do you expect from a recruitment day?
So can you repeat that again? You broke up a little bit.
Expect from a recruitment day.
Oh, what have you had? So from the recruitment day, what you do is you will come to our Apprentice Academy. We go through a talk just outlining and breaking down what the apprenticeship looks like in detail. After you've done that, you'll get to obviously meet the apprenticeship team. We'll be here. We then do team building activities. So there'll be things to show how you can communicate, because we appreciate that some people do amazing in an interview to be able to talk. Some people do better practically, which is why our interview and recruitment process is in stages. We appreciate that not everybody's amazing at verbalizing and talking, but you may do that team building activity and you could be the one that's the most supportive and most nurturing in that. That is what we'll look for and go, they've got potential. So it's so much more than just what you may say in an interview. It's so much more than sitting down and you tell me that you want to do this and I'll give you a job. We really want the very best people to work with the children that we care for because of the quality. So the recruitment day is very harmless. We have fun. As I said to you, I only believe in having fun. So we make sure it's a fun experience and it isn't as daunting as it sounds because we say recruitment day, but you come along, and at the end of that, if you're successful from that, because you will have to have a one-to-one conversation with either a nursery manager or one of the learning development team or myself. And then with that, once you've done that, if you're successful after all parts of that day, you then get put forward to your work trial. Next question.
Next question is, can you tell me about the Friday timetable? So what can we expect from a enrichment session or a training day?
Okay, so from the training day, if it is a provider taught session, you have set duties. So we have a scheme of work and you have to achieve a certain amount of, there's 13 duties that you have to complete. Now, with that, you don't have to do all them all at the same time. In a month, you'll be given 1 or 2 to focus on. It depends on, once again, about if your cohort can handle doing 1 every 2 weeks. If you can, then you do. If it doesn't, then everybody's different and the learning is different, and we find ways to adapt it. In the morning, the tutor will go through a hot topic, and they kind of talk about things that happen in the world that's relevant to the world, whether that be about community lines, they'll talk about gang culture, and it's just about, it's not always directed at what's child development. It might be, it's about you as well. It's about your learning and building your professional skills. After that, they'll teach the work for the actual unit. You then normally will have one-to-ones with your tutor. You get time to do your coursework on that day. Is there anything I'm missing from your tutor days?
Get biscuits and a cup of tea.
Obviously a highlight. The snacks.
You're missing, it's just sort of our tutor days. It's just sort of it's just meeting with the people that actually are providers and sort of understanding what they expect from us as well. And if I have a question, for example, about a unit, I can say, what can I do in this unit, for example. So it's just that face-to-face interaction that you have with them. I feel like it's so beneficial.
I think also that the lessons are not boring. There's times where it could be a bit tedious, a little bit tedious, just a little bit. But our lessons, the way they're set up, it's engaging. We have us actually engage in games, where we go off into groups and we have to make posts about debates. Our debates get very heated.
Friendly debates.
It's not just information on a screen, read it, or someone's reading it to you, because I know personally I can't learn someone just speaking at me. when I'm engaged, when I'm asked questions, I'm able to recall, I'm able to remember. And there's no rush, like you can take your time, it's all at your pace. And our tutors make sure that they cater to us and they cater to our learning.
Everyone has individual plans that suits
Yeah.
their learning style and the way where they're at, you know.
So like it's good because no one feels inferior and there's not a pressure on you to learn or like get it the first time. Things will always be recalled. If you ask, they will help. Like literally, Michelle will help, our tutors will help.
I would say, obviously, we work very closely with the providers. So the tutor days and the enrichment days are very similar. The only difference with enrichment days is that there are times that because we speak so closely with our cohorts, if they all need time to do coursework, we can sometimes say, do you need a free study day? And everyone has a day to do their coursework. And then it may mean that the next session we do 2 back-to-back kind of enrichment sessions. Now, an enrichment session, what that will consist of is not the same stuff as the tutor has taught, but things that will enhance it. We bring it into practice, real life experiences. We will, if we're looking at nutrition, they might make fruit plates in teams and we make it competitive. If we're talking about planning for activities on physical play, we'll get the parachute out and we'll do parachute games and we teach them how you can do those with the children. So it's more interactive, so as Sally said, and not boring stuff. We want you to have fun when you're learning at the same time, because exactly what we would do with the children is to have fun while learning.
It's a good break as well from the working week. I feel like sometimes when you're new to sort of working in nursery or when you've just started your apprenticeship, you get that sort of one day where you're like,
You can just relax.
Yeah,
I'm not on high alert.
You're not like worried about the children, you just worry about yourself and getting your work where you need to be, which is good as well, rather than having that whole week of working 5 days a week and then going home in your weekend and thinking, oh, I've got so much work to do. So it's just so good to have sort of that time where around people that are doing the same thing as you, and also have support from your tutors as well and from the team, which is really good.
Next question.
What is the dress code for the nursery and for your interview?
So what I struggled with was the no nails rule, and I know a lot of women and young girls will struggle with that as well. So your nails, even your natural nails, have to be you have to hold up your hands, and
If you see them, then
so if they're shorter than that, it's fine. But if they're longer than that, then it's a no-go. I mean, earrings. I mean, I'm a contradiction right now. Somehow I'm actually dangling earrings, but I don't want this setting. Your earrings sort of have to be studs and sort of no reveal. Just normal work attire, no revealing clothing. I would say one thing I learned, because I like to buy expensive clothes, is not to wear your expensive clothes to nursery. Go Primark, get yourself a pair of leggings and an oversized top, and you will be good. Because trust me, 9 out of 10 times a child will vomit, you have paint on it, you have stains.
Even like there's even like snot trouble.
What was I gonna say? So I think
I don't remember.
It's okay, not to worry. Dress code. I'll go on with the dress code. So one of the key things as well is there are certain footwear that you can't wear. So if you like wearing Crocs, you could only wear them in sport mode, so you have to have the back down. You cannot wear them as slippers, you cannot wear sliders, and that's not because we don't think they're cool. It's because actually if there is a fire and you have to walk backwards, you then become an issue when we have a fire evacuation. You're now a hazard, and effectively you're holding a child, you could drop them. Dangling and things like that is more because if a child pulls on them or breaks it, you've just lost your piece of jewelry and then you're going to be upset. So, but chunky shoes, I know it seems silly if you think of what do you mean, but things like Dr. Martens, even the UGG boots and things like that, they have quite thick soles. And if you are working in particular rooms and there's children playing and you step back and you don't see their hands, that doesn't feel great stepping on their hands. Think about if it was your hand. So everything we do is a safeguarding precaution. So dress code is more to do with safeguarding in the nursery. Now, for an interview, I do not expect anyone to walk in here in a suit. Because you work for a nursery. I mean, if you come in a suit, that's absolutely fine. If you want to look that dapper, please do. But the reality of it is we just want you to come looking like you're ready to do this. You can wear a jumper, jeans, and a top.
You don't like jeans. I can't. Jeans are too tight for me.
Yeah, jeans never fun.
Yeah, especially in your interview, you put jeans, but I would say comfortably. And what tracksuit bottom, isn't it? Like black tracksuit bottom.
Leggings, hoodies as well, because sometimes rains get a bit cold. There's
Yeah.
a certain temperature. I think, and in the garden as well.
Yeah.
Especially in winter.
I wouldn't come fully tech fleeced up in a night tech fleece for your interview. Just professional is smart casual.
Yeah.
You don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to be in a pinstripes skirt with tights and heels. We don't expect that. We want you to be comfortable but practical. That's the easiest way to put it. Is there any more questions?
What are the next dates for the future cohorts?
So our next actual recruitment day is the 5th of March. And that will be coming out, and I do believe anyone that signed up to this webinar today, you should be getting contacted with a link of how to sign up for that if you haven't signed up already. So keep an eye on your inbox for that. The plan is we try to take on cohorts throughout the year. So if you're not ready to start this one, there will be, I believe, a further 2 this year as well. So just keep an eye, keep your ear to the ground with us. If you have signed up to this webinar, the recruitment team more than likely will reach out to you the next time we're doing recruitment days to see if you're still interested. But keep your ear to the ground, see if you want to come and do a little visit. Maybe you want to join us as an unqualified for a bit before starting in the company before you go onto the apprenticeship. There's always options. Everyone has different routes. But yeah, the next apprenticeship cohort we'll be recruiting for will be on the 5th of March.
And the next question is, when do we expect to hear from you after this webinar?
So my understanding would be is that you should hear early next week. I would say it is Thursday, so I don't know if it will be tomorrow, but you may get a thank you for attending. But you should hear by next week if there's anything further that needs to be shared with you.
One final question is, I moved to London 6 months ago. Am I eligible for the apprenticeship, or are there any alternative options for me?
It depends where you move from. So to join an apprenticeship, you have to have lived in England for the UK for 2 years as a minimum before you can join an apprenticeship. And that is a funding rule. That is not a least rule. That is not what we say. It is what a funding thing. There are sometimes different chances where you can do it. And I think there's different kind of extenuating circumstances that may change that. But that is something that is out of our hands, and each person has a different kind of opportunities available to them. But what I would advise for you is, if you are interested in joining and you haven't lived in the UK for the last 2 years, speak to Amina or Mamta, and they'll be able to help you with looking at the best options for you. So reach out if you're not sure, reach out to one of them. They'll get in contact with you and let you know.
That is all in terms of questions.
That is all. Okay, so all that's left is to say thank you very much for joining us today for this webinar. It's been a pleasure having everybody join us, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. So I've been Michelle.
Talia.
Noel.